Hello and welcome to episode 7 of The Clutch Kick. Yes, I've started to get the sways already. This is take 2 on this one. So episode 7, I am one of your hosts, Greg Merriman, and above me is...
EG from Canberra, and I'm your other host. And today we have the special guest of Dylan, who's on that side.
Hello.
He was one of the judges at the Raleigh Drift, and he's going to talk to us about Raleigh. But first, I think Greg has some. He's going to go through some news and some other important things that he wants to talk about.
All right. Well, first and foremost, coming up at the end of this week is QR Matsuri, and my poor car that was supposed to be ready for Mount Gambier. And that was, 3.5 weeks ago now?
Yep.
It's still not ready. I'm having many issues with getting parts all the way from Western Sydney to the east coast of Sydney from none other than Haltech. When you make contact with them and people make contact with them and you ask them, hey, when it's ready, just let us know. We'll send somebody out to pick it up. No, just send it with a courier. But rather than sending out on a Friday when it's ready, hold it until Monday. That'll help us get it on time. That's happened with the keypad and my ECU. So at this stage, I still haven't seen an ECU. It's Tuesday night, and I'm supposed to leave tomorrow night. So that's probably not going to happen. So
when
I'm
did
not
you
all
order?
that. Well, the ECU was sent back to them 2.5 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago, to have some repairs done. And they were the last ones to actually handle it in person. So, because they did an update on it less than a year ago. So now we're having issues. And yeah, thanks, guys. That's really awesome.
So is it on its way?
Supposedly.
Okay, all right.
So supposedly it's sitting in a...
so long to get from one in Sydney
50
to
kilometres.
Sydney. Yeah.
It's not even 50 kilometers. It's less than that. So yeah, not all that happy. So let's break into a little bit of drift news. EG, give us a rundown on what went down in Victoria over the weekend, a little bit from what you saw.
Okay, yeah. So I only saw a little bit of the live stream. I did see some other news. Let me just pull it up because I closed the screen to get OBS running. Anyway, so there was Vic Drift down in Victoria at Calder Park. They used the back section, I guess you'd call it. So it's the furthest from the entry to Calder Park. It consisted of a little bit of a rise into like a little S bend and then into a horseshoe, I think they called it. There were some pretty cool videos coming out of people entering the S bend where they were getting some really cool angle and almost the car was weighting a lot, so it looked like it was jumping. Anyway, not exactly sure who came first, second, third, or fourth because it wasn't announced on their page, but I'm pretty sure I saw on Facebook somewhere that Justin Gruner had won. So that means that Alex Govelia had come second, and the battle for third was between Luke Barbarelli and Aji Punara. Oh my god, these names are like so...
Yeah, see, that's why I'm not going to
so
give it a go,
difficult.
because I know I'm just going to cop it.
Yeah,
Because
but
if I try and announce
you've
that
had
stuff,
so
you're
much
gonna kill me.
experience with international names with all your international career.
Yeah, but they tell me their names in person, so I don't destroy it, and I just don't say last names.
So that was some pretty cool battles, but yeah, it was an interesting.
I
call.
can't
I don't
even
think
pronounce your last name.
It's Wakamatsu. That's easy. You just
That's it. I just say it like Roberts. That's it. I'm white. That's as simple as that.
So every what's the A-I-O-U? What's that? That's a
vowel.
Vowel. So every vowel you stop. So when you
Would
read
you like
Japanese,
to buy one?
No, I'm not going to. I'm a drifter. I don't spend any money. So every vowel you stop and you say that section. So W-A, stop, then say that. K-A, M-A, then T-S-U. Easy. Okay?
All right, I'll try that next time, but I'm not going to do it right now because you'll laugh at me.
Okay.
All right, so back to what you saw at Vic Drift.
Yeah, I only watched the top 32, then I had to go back to work. So it wasn't a lot, but yeah, it was interesting. There was a lot of interest. The first, I think it was a top 32, or yeah, I said top 32. It was whatever the first set of battles were. There was a lot of quite similar matchups, which was interesting. I wish I actually got to see further on, because there was a lot of Wise Fab 1J or 2J things, or sorry, not a lot. There was a one, the what's the
Finney
Finney
O'Hare
O'Hare?
and
Yeah.
Michael Bonny, I think,
Yep.
went together
So
pretty
they're
early.
both
Yeah.
2J Wise Fab, and then there was
Yeah.
two R32 battles. There was an R33 battle. So there was a lot of like even matchup battles there in the top 32.
So, do you think it was a bit of rigged judging, similar to what we'll talk about later from the weekend's event up at Coffs Harbour?
I didn't watch
No.
all the entire competition, but no, the calls seem pretty good so far. But I haven't, like I said, I haven't watched all of it. But I do prefer Justin in the 32 rather than 33. Just watching his battles.
Yeah.
So I don't think you knew him back then, or knew of him back then. But
No.
he used to run a 32 instead of a 33. And I thought he was doing cooler entries and better drifts in the 32. But the 33 is a lot better built. So I think he
qualified number one by looking at qualifying results. So
yeah.
if he doubled up on it, that's pretty not a surprise really for somebody who's qualified first to go out and take out the event.
Yeah, that's right. So it means that the judges are doing a good job, and so they're selecting the better the better one. What was that last?
Funny, that's exactly what happened at Raleigh.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
The guy that qualified first won.
Okay.
Did you see any of the Vic Drift stuff, Dylan?
No, I didn't even know the live stream.
Yeah, the track was an interesting one. So as EG said, they used the bottom section, I guess you'd say, of the Calder Park National Circuit. And so basically, I'm not sure exactly how they call their corners, but I guess if you call the whole bottom hairpin turn 1, they would have been doing turn 1, 2, and 3 backwards.
Yes.
So you came in.
Okay.
You came in over the crest coming from one of their link roads down and threw it into turn 3, which is a fairly quick transition, not much time to actually settle the car to change direction again. And I think they were encouraging them because it is a big section. They weren't really doing mungies. I think they were doing a bit more of a...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
I think it was
discouraged.
Yeah, it was more... I think the lead car looked like it had to sort of more try and power slide it in a fairly straight line, ready to sort of reinitiate into a big flick, almost a second entry, which is kind of cool, and give the chase car some space to jump right up on door and come around. But I don't think that directional layout has ever been run ever. I think they did a bit of a practice early in the year as a test to see if it's even feasible, and then they sort of ran it like that. So that was something interesting, and they seem to have a big season ahead with, I think they have another 5 rounds to go, all on different layouts and different tracks. So between...
Wow, that's a big year.
Yeah, between the national circuit at Calder, the Thunderdome at Calder, and I think they've got one round at Winton.
Yeah, that's the next one, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they're running. I don't think out of the 6 rounds that any of them are on the same layout. So pretty crazy.
Cool.
They've almost. I think out of the whole country as a series at the moment, they've got it together with that. So
different layouts. Yeah, it's good. The straight was interesting. I'm surprised that they. Well, from what I watched, I'm surprised they actually got it to work.
Yeah, you would think that people were going to potentially run away, but I thought they might have done something similar to what ADGP did at Malala, where they did the sort of the munchie cone for the lead car, and the chase car could sort of just try and dive in underneath just to sort of
better
eliminate
than the long straight like drifter shell used to run. That was really
just to give that room for that. So yeah, that's the news on that one. QR Matsuri coming up at the end of the week, as I had my rant. My car's not ready. E.g., you're coming up. Well, I'm supposed to be going up. I'm not sure if I will at this stage. You're going up for sure. Where are you at?
Pretty late on my plans. So I'm going to try and paint the car tomorrow morning, and everyone says the paint's just going to run, but it doesn't really matter because I just want the one color. Because at the moment,
Which car? Because our viewers
okay.
or listeners think
Yeah.
we have like
yeah.
1800.
I know I've got a few cars, but I'm taking the car that I took to DCA, which is I'll just call it the R32, because it's not red at the moment. It's silver and white, the original color.
4-door?
Yeah, the 4-door. So I think
Yeah.
you've seen it before in silver, Dylan.
Ooh.
At Eastern Creek.
Nah, I don't think so. Oh, yeah, actually, yeah. That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. I actually bought the car the weekend before, put a gearbox in, and then took it straight to Eastern Creek. And I'd never driven the car before. Oh, no, actually, no, I had driven the car before once at Wakefield when I was owned by someone else.
Yeah.
And so I still need to do something about the coolant and fit tyres to wheels. And then I'm headed up to Newcastle on Thursday. So I'm hoping to fit tyres while I'm there, because that's where I've got a pair of tyres waiting for me. And hopefully should be all good to go on Friday. Rest of the way.
Wink, wink, nudge there, Dylan. Did you need some hookups on some
Are you coming
tyre
to
changing?
fit them at my place?
No, I think it's Ben Mears, actually.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, I don't even know where he
I
lives.
do have a tyre changer here.
Okay. So
We go to Ben. That's good.
Ben. Why? Just to annoy him, or just so I don't annoy you?
No. He's got a way better setup.
I just need to change wheels and tyres. Oh, actually, I just need to... no, I need to take them off and on again. So, yeah, I need to change them.
Yeah. Either or.
All right. So back to topic. So we've got Dylan with us.
Have either of you driven at Queensland before?
Yeah, I have. I did a what's it called, a morning session there last year.
Yeah, okay.
I haven't driven there. No, I've been on the track, but I haven't driven there.
Yeah.
Fun track.
That'll be fun. Yeah. I've only driven there once, which was a Friday night.
A darkness session.
Yeah, it was so dark too. And I've got blue tinted headlights, so not awesome for seeing things at night.
So that was the 33, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let's harass the guy that's on our right. He's been... on our first attempt at this tonight, we started getting him talking, but this one we sort of cut him off a little bit. So let's get him introduced. So he has introduced himself. He is Dylan Roberts. He is a member of the Marvel Drifters, the Newcastle Drift Crew, I guess you'd call them. And yeah, let's hear a bit about your drift history and what you're up to now.
Yeah. So yeah, I moved to Newcastle, I think somewhere 2010, 2011, maybe. When I moved down here, I only knew one person, who was Brendan Westlake. He's kind of one of the founders, I guess you would say, of Marvel Drifters. Brendan and David Simpson came up with the name just because they both wanted to go driving and drifting and thought it'd be cool to put a name to what they were doing. So I knew Brendan, went for a couple of drives with him, checking street lights. There's a few out around the local Newcastle area, so... and after that, he was like, we've got to get you a Marvel sticker, put it on your car, so everyone knows you're part of Marvel.
So you were
which
the
was pretty
third member,
cool.
were you?
No, there was a couple of other guys at the time, I think. I was probably like the fourth person with a sticker on my car, and I had known the other guys for like a couple of weeks, maybe. It was only Brendan that I knew, but so then went to a wet skid pan day. That's probably where I first came in contact with Blake Patterson, I'd say.
In contact?
In contact. He's extraterrestrial, so...
Okay. I thought you might have said you actually like caved in his door or something.
No. Although we were surprisingly getting kind of close on the wet skid pan for how low our skill level was, which was was very scary when you would spin out because you're like, my mate's going to drive straight into my door. That was the first experience, and then I think I did another day or night session on the skid pan before going to the Peanut. By the time I got to the Peanut, I had powered up to maybe 230 kilowatts or 220 kilowatts in my R33 four-door.
Wow.
And that's, I remember being wowed at that event by Cameron Moat, and I can't remember who he was driving with. It wasn't Alex. It was,
What?
it was one of the other boys. I can't remember their names.
How long ago
anyway,
was this?
Probably before they were known as We Slide.
So this was during sort of the peak at Eastern Creek with Big Track and stuff still open?
Yeah.
That's 2009, 2008, I think.
So, yeah, this was probably like 2010 or 11. Probably 11.
Okay.
Yeah. But I remember Cameron Moat was grabbing third gear down the straight on Peanut track into turn one, and I was like, how's this guy doing this? Like, that's so fast. And it's still fast today. Like, by no means, if you're flat out third gear into turn one on Peanut track, I believe that's fast.
Yeah, if you're third gear into turn one of Peanut track now, you're actually going to end up in that
into the concrete barrier.
concrete barrier.
No. You'll be all right.
So
just do it.
So here's one I'm going to put on you.
Yeah.
Before you have a love of your four-door cars from our chat earlier. Yep. Clearly, was your car the blue 33 four-door that ended up backing it hard into the wall at either a high-tech night, a figure eight comp night, or a practice night, if I remember? Did you make contact with that wall up the embankment before?
No, I've never got to the top of the bank. I've hit the bank though. Okay. That was in the pink car.
Okay.
The first night on South Circuit, I had just painted my previous shell blue with like glitter all through it, and I think it was like first or second lap out, I smacked a bundle of tyres on the edge of the track, as Eastern Creek does, putting the tyres down the edge of the track. Which I was like, I just tried to make this car presentable, and then I smacked the wall, or smacked the tyres.
But sometimes that's the best way to christen a car, because when you do it all up nicely, you want to try and preserve it, and then if you can get that out of the way early, you start.
Yeah. You just
care,
go, well, whatever.
I've got some work to do. Yeah, I've got some work to do now, so let's just make more work.
Yeah. You drive hard. So I did have the R33 four-door, I was street driving. I had an accident with it on the street, which caved in the right-hand rear quarter panel. So
just by accident?
That was in the that was in the wet. I had an accident with a car going the other way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that led to me going, oh well, and that was not long after putting a bigger turbo and stuff on it. So I was pretty annoyed that I couldn't potentially drive it anymore. So I did a quick fix and just turned it into a track car, instead of going down the route of trying to keep it registered and reshelling and whatnot at that stage. And that's when I started probably doing my most driving, going down to Wakefield for stadium drift events. I think I took that one to Raleigh when it was in that state, maybe. Yeah, and then like Peanut practice nights and whatnot.
I think I met you at Wakefield when you came down for stadiums, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's
you were always taking photos.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, because it was cheaper than driving.
Yeah, and you were buying cars.
Huh? Buying cars.
You kept buying cars.
They were pretty cheap. I think they're the same as the entry.
Yeah.
But weren't you in a big train once, and you that had the big, massive cave-in of your car? Or was that someone else?
No, well, there's been multiple Marvel incidents at Wakefield.
Okay.
Because in the Stadium Drift days, you could run, I think we had a 10-car train go down once, which is just ridiculous. Like, again, for the skill level that we all were at the time, it's a terrible idea. But
it was fun. I liked watching.
we've all watched, we've all watched trains in Japan and think, well, there's no reason we can't do it, and there's not. But I was leading one of those, and I spun on the final turn. And the second guy got past fine, but the third guy focused on me, so he drove into me. So I think that did like a radiator and maybe put a hole in the intercooler. Probably like $500 worth of damage. Nothing like too crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been called out by Blake in a couple of conversations that I've had with him as somebody who hates traveling when it comes to going to drift.
No, I don't. Nah, not at all. I don't hate traveling.
Where have you been? What tracks have you driven within Australia, and what has been your favourite?
Well, yeah, so I haven't driven that many, unfortunately. I've driven South Circuit Sydney, North Circuit Sydney, Wakefield, Raleigh, QR.
Did you end up doing Calder?
Calder Park last year.
Oh, I did like, 5 laps in Blake's car maybe, because mine...
But you
outqualified
outqualified him in your own car. You outqualified him in his own car.
I did.
Nice.
Thank you for that, EG. I don't know how that happened.
EG wasn't there. That's why it happened.
Oh, wasn't he?
No.
Oh, that's exactly why it happened. Yeah.
I was in
his-
Vanuatu.
I mean, was that the first comp I think that car had gone to? So it was
that's
like,
the first event.
yeah, I was extremely worried about binning it into the wall, and it wasn't handling nicely at all. You would throw it in and you'd just get no side bite, and it would just sail into the high seas, basically. You couldn't stop it. Once it was sailing,
It's
it
a
would just
33.
keep going.
Yeah, coming from a dude who had a Safira and a 33 4-door, can't talk about too much about sailing. You should be used to that sort of thing.
The S15 sailed well that weekend. Yeah, so I don't know. I think like I was really looking forward to Calder Park DCA. Unfortunately, my car, I was rushing to get it done. I can't remember. I was changing bearings and doing a few other things, checking stuff in the engine. But it turned out that in my haste, I didn't clean the head or the block well enough and still had some bearing material in an oil gallery. And then it clogged up a couple of galleries to one of the cams, and then the cam seized and then smashed all the valves and so on. Yeah, so it wasn't a good time. I tried to buy another head that day, but finding a head that already had the oil gallery welded up for the RB30 bottom end at a price that I could afford, stretching my budget beyond its means, wasn't possible, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we're unlucky that weekend anyway because we only had the one day. It was one long day event, so
One day, yeah. So I had,
It's gonna be
yeah,
hard.
there was guys from Tom Eastdown's crew that were like, we can do it. Like, we'll rip the head off and help you out. You'll be back out there in 3 or 4 hours. But yeah, I just couldn't justify spending the money and it potentially not fixing the problem.
yeah, and ending up with you may have ended up with the same problem considering what you end up finding out down the road anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess
favorite track. I never answered that.
yeah, go for that.
Honestly, I think Raleigh still rates pretty highly. I've done a lot of driving at Raleigh, and this isn't like promoting their competition at all.
Plug,
It
I know
certainly
you guys-
sounds like it.
No, everyone will think it is, but I still find there's things that you can do on that track to make it either harder for yourself or, try different things and get different results. And I guess because I've done a lot of driving there, it helps me with car setup and being able to go out there and try some things and then maybe soften the dampeners or try different wheel alignment or something. And even just different techniques of weight shifting the car or using the power to get the wheel speed up to do a big flick, whatever it may be.
So that'd be your home course.
Yeah.
I think my most laps would be around Raleigh, definitely.
Okay.
And did you do really well in one of the series there one year?
I haven't won the series. I've won a few rounds at Raleigh. I think I've won one in my car maybe, and the other one or two was in borrowed cars because my car had broken.
You sound like
Which is-
me.
Pretty typical.
Oh, I don't think you won anything great.
Yeah.
No, not winning. I meant, I should mean borrowing cars to drive.
Yeah. It's not a position I like to be in, but if I think it was Brendan Westlake's car, I think both times he had taken it up there and he's like, yeah, jump in and go for it. And it's a really fun car. He's got a 180 SX SR, and I love it. I wish I had something like that, but I spent lots of money a long time ago and sort of got stuck in that wormhole, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess technically you could say that it's almost your car anyway because all you Marvel guys have all your cars in the big headquarters with the big Marvel sticker on the outside
and the barbecue
Yeah.
and the nightly family meals together.
Yeah, the glowing neon Marvel sign above the roller door.
Yeah.
Actually, Brendan and I do rent a shed together, so it's not entirely false. And there's plenty of empty beer bottles sitting around, but that's more from me than Brendan.
Yeah, when you say grace, do you say grace to the tire gods that they will bring much smoke and much side bite and all that sort of stuff?
I can't say that those words have ever been spoken in Marvel Drifters HQ.
All right, so I guess knuckling down to why we've got you on here today.
Oh, didn't you want to know that?
And no, that's still good. And because I'm sure we'll get stuck on this topic for a while.
The real reason
we skipped it in.
Raleigh.
Yeah, we skipped
Raleigh,
you in.
yeah.
We skipped it in the news section. Round one was this weekend, and you were your full season judging this year. Tell us a little bit about what's happening this year with the series, what's changed, the direction you guys are headed, and I think start with that, and then we'll get into how round one went as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm on board this year. So they've dropped it from 5 rounds to 4 rounds this year. They also have 4 Matsuris or Matsuris or however Eiji would like to pronounce it.
People don't understand if you say in Japanese. They'll just look at a puzzled look to say, what is that? What is that? But then if you say it in English, Matsuri, then they'll understand. Oh, yeah, it's drifting, isn't it?
Yeah. If only it was the festival that it's meant to be.
I know, right?
then-
That's so...
Yeah.
Why don't they do that? It's just a festival, a drift festival.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So 4 rounds this year. So myself, Blake Patterson, and Wayne Bolt judging. So Blake's done quite a bit of judging there over the past 2 years, and he's, I guess, been pushing it in a certain direction in terms of clipping points on the track and trying to even the field out. power-wise. So it doesn't matter if you got 150 horsepower or 350. The clipping points will slow the cars in the right place to allow the chase car to keep up, which is awesome. That's exactly what you want. You want the guys that are just starting out but might have a whole bunch of talent but don't have the money or haven't spent the time throwing money at their car to be able to keep up with those guys that have been driving there for years. And there is guys at Raleigh that have literally, as far as I'm aware, just driven Raleigh for years. So you want to be able to bring new people up. I'm not like, obviously the course isn't easy, but you want to be able to bring newcomers sort of up to speed and be able to achieve what we're requiring of them. So I think it's a great series. I don't know why you guys don't come up. I think Team Red Sage used to...
For me, it's a distance. It's just
I think
9 or 10 hour drive, and then I save my leave to go to Japan. So it just doesn't work out. Like Winton's just close enough because it's 5 hours away, but I've only gone to watch. Wakefield's easy and Sydney's easy, but I'm pretty sure we'll probably start heading up there. But I guess it just depends on work is, we need money to go drifting, so
we do, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I did around there last year, but I didn't like it very much. Well, I did have a little bit of car drama, but just I stepped into pro, even though a few people recommended that I stay down in AM. But luckily I went into pro because it gave me more time to fix the car. But I think I was the only first timer there, and it was a fairly small field because it ended up raining and a lot of people didn't show up. And basically if you weren't in the know, you didn't know. And I didn't really like that very much. That was one of the rounds, I think one of the only rounds last year that Blake didn't show up and judge. So I was sort of ass on my own trying to work out what the hell was going on. I thought that the yellow tire bundles that were all around the track were the actual clipping points. And then I found out after the competition, no, they're just there to stop people from chewing up the grass. The clipping points,
you ask questions?
Yeah.
No, I was busy fixing my car. And
you go to briefing?
I went to briefing, but they didn't do it in briefing.
What do
it was just like, you guys know where the stuff is. You'll be all right. Off you go.
Really?
And we were supposed to qualify on Saturday, but because it rained, a few locals who only sort of show up just in time for qualifying didn't want to drive on Saturday because the weather was shit.
I think I did that.
Yeah,
we turned up on Sunday.
You're one of those dudes. Yeah, you were there for that round.
I can't remember. I had something on Saturday, and then I found out.
Oh, you guys were doing Ulan
morning.
Nationals.
That's right. Yeah, and no one wanted to qualify until Sunday because it was wet on Saturday.
Yeah,
and they figured, oh well, there's going to be a couple of guys that haven't qualified anyway. Let's just push it to tomorrow, which was a good call because it was dry the next day, and it all worked.
Not much explanation. Not much explanation, and then I had a split fuel line and all that sort of drama. So, go on.
If you don't talk over Greg, then he'll just keep talking.
All the locals were super cool guys and all that sort of stuff. But just from an organization point of view, I think this year it seems like there's a little bit more structure in the background because I think with the owner's son last year pulling out Brad, it left everybody a bit high and dry partway through the season. And this year you guys seem to have got your act back together, and hopefully it means the series has got its mojo back.
Yeah. There seemed to be a bit of a split last year. I'm not going to go into it, and I don't know enough to go into it, but everyone, similar, I guess, to what happened with High Tech being announced that it wasn't happening and everyone went into meltdown. I'd say that happened on a very small scale for drivers at Raleigh, and they were all, what are we going to do? The competition's not going to run the same. There's going to be no promotion of it. this guy, Brad, did it all. Like, what are we going to do? The series is going to go to crap, blah, blah, blah. So late last year, one of the drivers there, Brady Tide. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's bad that I don't even know his name.
Yeah, Brady
Last
Tide.
name, that is, yeah. So Brady and Wayne Bolt. So Wayne came up to judge the last round last year as a fill-in judge. And he and Brady started talking and both decided, I guess, to take on a bit of the workload that needed to be lifted at Raleigh in terms of the Facebook page and getting back to people that were looking for more information and trying to do a bit more of that online promotion of the event, which for round one seems to have really worked. There's definitely still things that can be improved on, but I think there was maybe 5. I'm going to say 5 as a guess of a number. 5 drivers from Sydney that hadn't competed or driven at Raleigh before, or maybe a couple had driven there but never competed, came up for round one. A few guys in amateur, a few guys in pro. I'm saying quite a lot. I just realised that.
You are saying quite a lot. It's making me laugh. I'm like, yes.
Because I'm thinking.
People only notice when Greg says it, though.
Okay,
I've said
do you reckon
a
I'll
lot
get
as
my own
well.
song?
Sorry? You get your own song?
Will I get my own song?
Nah, you're not easy to tease like Greg. Gerg, sorry. Like Gerg.
Gerg. Grog.
That's a new one.
I love all you guys.
Well, you haven't watched Initial D yet, Greg, so you deserve
Mate,
voice.
I'm up to episode... I've just watched episode 9.
He started.
9?
So
okay.
Yeah, so
You
the
better
GTR
finish before we get to Queensland.
Yeah, mate, I'm not getting
He's
to
not
Queensland
going.
at this episode. I've got a while.
Okay.
So the GTR is currently just in front of the E86, and it's starting to get brake fade. So we're going to see what happens in the next episode.
Nice.
So,
all right, back to
topic.
topic. Back to topic. Yeah, so with new guys from Sydney, we did put an emphasis at the drivers' briefing to ask anyone that hadn't been there before. I was obviously calling out clipping points and talking about the track layout, and then I said, and Wayne was involved at that time as well, saying, all right, anyone that hasn't been here before for a competition, let's go for a quick walk up to turn 1, which gives you a good view of the track. And we showed them, so this is a start, this is the outside clip 1 we were talking about, this is the clip coming out of turn 1, this is turn 2 zone, etc., etc., to bring them up to speed, which I think helped a lot. They got the hang of it pretty quickly. It's one thing just to drive your car around Raleigh just to get around the track. Yeah, you're drifting, but you're probably going to be right on the inside of most of the turns and just in the center of the track across the hill. So what we're doing, I guess you would say, is we've got all outer clips. And there's a mungie on the pit straight, and for the amateurs there's a mungie halfway across the top of the hill. I guess this is going to probably be hard for people to understand if they haven't been there before. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to say 7 to 8 turns in the judging drift section, so it's quite long. Are you counting them for me, Greg?
Yeah, I'm on the page at the moment. It depends what you want to call it. If you want to call the mungie one and then sort of the tightening of the corners. Yeah, in terms of drift layouts, it would be probably one of it is the longest, I would say, in Australia, and probably one of the longer drift sections that probably takes place in grassroots drifting almost anywhere, unless it's something like Lone Star Drift running their sort of random pinball style competition or that sort of thing. So it is very technical, and it does take up a lot of the track. And I know the locals like it that way.
Yeah, so they do. Yeah. I remember when DCA went there for the first ever DCA event.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people that whinged and moaned because they're like, you're just driving like half the course and then only drifting one turn. But again, that's their niche, I guess. They like to see drifting for as long as possible, whereas DCA was just pushing that big spectacle of the massive throw down the hill, which I thought was great. I went to that event and competed at that event. I can't remember where I got. Probably not far if EG was judging.
Why do you say that?
Because you're a dick, okay?
but someone has to win anyway. But no, someone did win.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't. Someone,
Someone did.
We didn't end the event with like everyone loses and that's it. Go home. Someone won that event.
Yeah, but it wasn't Dylan, so it was the wrong decision.
Okay. I remember all the complaints, all the people yelling in the crowd, all the locals saying what's going on, but it didn't matter. Like that back section, they said you can slide it if you want, it doesn't matter, but it's the crowd wants it, but you can't really. It's on the other side of the track anyway, so.
Yeah, and it is from a judging perspective. I'm not going to say it's difficult, but there is little sections that are harder to judge than others. You can still see what the car's doing, but you can't see the exact line of where the car is. So it's a bit of a take what the lead guy's doing and take what the chaser's doing and make an assumption on what their line was to where they were on the track and if they're in the right place.
Yeah, we have to do that sometimes at DCA as well. It's just because of the nature of the course. You can't 100% see something, but when a car moves a certain way, then you know that it's in a certain direction, rather than if it stays visible, then it's on the wrong thing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's also important for tracks like that for the drivers to make sure they are going up and looking at where you guys are sitting or where EG and wherever are sitting for competition, so that you do, as a driver, get a rough idea on what is actually being seen and what isn't being seen, so you can put a stronger emphasis even as a driver on what you are doing. And I'm not great at linking this corner and this corner. If I go up and watch from the judges, they can't really see that first corner, so maybe I'll focus more on the setup to this next corner because it will be better. And I think drivers have to be a little bit more savvy about how they handle themselves in those situations, especially on the longer courses.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but you can still tell if they're doing it right or if they're doing it wrong. So
I don't mean it so much like that, but when you get, how sometimes people get caught up that, hey, this person did this in front of me, and how didn't you see that there was a wheel drop or something there? But if there's a dirty big tree and it's mud there rather than dust, you're not going to get a big puff of dust to really sing out that, hey, that was a dirt drop or anything like that. So I think drivers have got to be a little bit more aware, so they know those sort of situations.
Yeah. And I guess what else did I do differently? I did draw a little mud map of the course on a whiteboard before the qualifying briefing, maybe, or battle briefing. I can't remember, but just to really show them the clipping points. And then I went through, because I'd watched everyone practice on the Saturday morning, and just gave the whole group feedback on what they weren't doing during practice. Myself as a driver, I like to know what the line is, and I like to practice to that. I'm not just going to go out there and blaze tyres and pay no attention to what I'm there to do, which is compete. At the same time, rally is still that grassroots drift competition, which is awesome. But don't get me wrong, there's awesome drivers there that will be able to compete, I'm going to say, anywhere in Australia on a radial tyre, because we are still just on a street tyre there, not on semi-slicks.
You guys have also moved away from being an open street radial down to the DCA rules,
Yeah.
Remember
So
correctly?
you've got the weights and the width limits.
Where previously
the same
that wasn't
No,
on there.
I remember I came up against a guy from Queensland, Barry Clark. He had put 255s on the back of his Sylvia, and I realised that he was going to be running those, so I went and put 255s on, just to make sure that I could keep up. But look, there's not a whole lot of difference depending on what brand you were running. Obviously a certain brand in a 255, you can still get 235s that have more grip.
Okay, so it wasn't a semi as well. They both weren't semis.
No, they were just normal radials. But in years gone by, there's I've jumped out of my car and so have other guys between runs in a battle and let the tyre pressures down, sort of out the back before staging for the second half of the battle, knowing that, I don't think I had enough grip then. He was either pulling away from it or I couldn't keep up. So it does get competitive, don't get me wrong, but it's still that fun competition where you can just go and do bulk amount of driving, because for the first round, there was heaps of driving. I wish I had a car up there to drive, because you've got, I think it's an hour and a half of practice Saturday morning for pros and amateurs. And now this year we're also, I guess this is something different. We're doing the everyone calls it the DCA qualifying, but it's used in other places than DCA.
Yeah,
what's
I like
that?
to refer to it. It's the jam session style qualifying.
Yeah. So you're out there for, I think it was an hour in the end, 45 minutes to an hour. Left-hand lane is qualifying lane, right-hand lane, you can just keep throwing down practice runs.
They use that a lot in other comps, because they did it at Drift Australia and Super Drift and things like that.
Okay.
So, it's a fairly used style of qualifying. Yeah,
so that's different from previous years where the owners of the track believed that everyone wanted to be there to battle, basically. So it was a battle qualifying. You weren't battling to win in terms of you're not getting knocked out, but you were getting awarded points for those runs. So it's nearly like you were doing it just made it very difficult for judges, basically. That's all it did.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed that format when I was up there. Not that I actually got a dry run in before I had to jump into my 3 sort of practice battles, like my 3 qualifying battles. But I think that's a good format for an amateur event, I feel like, to get as much forced battle practice in as possible. But from a pro point of view, at that stage, you shouldn't be showing up to battle practice. You should already know how to battle at that stage if you're going to enter.
And we've all been to competitions where you want to go or you're in the lineup and you want to drive against whoever's next to you, and they're like, no, your car's a piece of crap. I don't want to be anywhere near you because you'll probably run into me or spin out in front of me, whatever the case is. And so that battle qualifying, just forced guys to drive together, which I think was a good thing. And I thought that we were going to retain the amateurs doing battle qualifying, and the pros were just going to do their elect 2 qualifying runs in an hour session. But I think it was the last round last year, the amateurs all said that they were happy and wanted to give the single car qualifying a go. So that's the way we've gone, and I only heard good things from the drivers all weekend. And when there was time to have cars out there for an expression session, say between whatever was happening, there was barely any cars out there because everyone had been driving that much, so they're in the pits changing their tyres or fixing their cars or whatever. Whereas I feel last year you would see a lot more cars out there in the fill-ins, when you had the battle qualifying. So
Yeah, that's what put me off doing some comps, is the battle qualifying. Because there were some people there that should not really have been in competition, even though I can understand that all they want to do is drift comps, but you kind of need to be able to do like a certain level before you actually compete, not just sort of go, I want to do drift comps and buy this car, which has got 600 kilowatts or something like that, and then just spin out constantly, or just drive into people because you couldn't control the car. So that's what put me off those events. So
I guess Raleigh still does have that. They still accept those drivers, which
that's fine.
The guys that are up.
Yeah, it's just a qualifying format. That's all, because you're forced to drive with someone who's not capable of driving. So when you expect a certain standard, or like when you expect, you get told you need to battle to qualify, and then if you kind of watch the guy before and go, this guy, he just spins constantly, so you just sit there and you wait for him to spin, then you know it's difficult. So I can understand the merits of it. Like, you get battle practice, and I know that it's important too, but you can get battle practice at other times as well. You just go to practice day and get battle practice there.
Well, as Dylan said, there's hours of practice, so you should be teaming up with people at that stage too, so you can keep doing the comps. But looking at your entry list, there was on the last. 61. I wasn't even the last round of entry. There was like 36-ish cars in amateur. So did people? There were a few guys who missed out on qualifying.
No, so because of the nature of drifting and the nature of.
Oh, Jesus, 41 at the last entry.
Cars.
61 overall.
So a few people didn't turn up, and then there was multiple cars that broke down before we even got to qualifying. So
Jesus.
I think,
that's pretty normal, though. Yeah, that happens.
No, I know, but to lose to have 9 cars either not show up or break.
Yeah, so I think let's say there was 3 that didn't show up, and then the others were all in various stages of having issues or broken completely. I know. Who was that? Caleb Otto, Origin
lab
worker.
Yeah,
I guess. Unfortunately, his first lap out, the rear bumper of his car caught on fire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was spectacular.
Was he in a tandem with Flash?
No, he wasn't anywhere near Flash, thank goodness.
Had Flash touched the car before that?
No.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure how. I think it was just a bit of body work that either got too hot or something. Okay. So we put that out, and then he went back in and got the car sorted. But then not long. Actually, it was before qualifying. He did a big end, which was unfortunate. It's an SR. It should run forever, right? That's my belief.
Yes. Definitely run forever.
I wish.
But so I mean, so there's one gone, and then some other guys were having tuning issues and gearboxes breaking, and there was a whole host of issues. So I think we ended up with. I think it was around 28 cars. I can't remember the exact. I should have brought my battle notes with me.
Yeah, but I guess there's a lot to be said, because people will have looked at that list and thought about entering late, and then had a minor meltdown going into amateur, worrying that this, the change in the qualifying format will basically, I'm not good enough, or there's a risk that I won't make it. Well, considering that a 41 entry list ended up whittled down to a 28. It just shows you that entering, and even if there was 50 cars, there was a good chance you're going to make the battles, not even off necessarily your driving merit, but off the fact that it is a drift event. Things change, people break stuff, and you do make it into the show no matter what. So
and I think we ended up with 17 cars in pro, which was a little bit down. I was hoping there was a few more, and I was watching during practice and amateur qualifying to see if there was any guys that we could potentially bump up. Obviously, bumping up, you don't want to push them to go there. It's kind of ask them, would you like to go in pro? We think that you're capable. But with how it turned out, everyone got a spot in amateur and everyone got a spot in pro. So
yeah, and looking at the list, there's a few guys who I know, Sydney locals or met when I was up at Raleigh the last time, who are good drivers, but you can sort of understand them wanting to hang back. It really is a series where your local guys like, and I guess they ended up being podium guys like Ron Lang and Barry Clark, as you said earlier.
Yeah, so they're Queenslanders. I wouldn't say they're local.
Well, I mean, but they
They
drive that competition. They're religious entrants of that series. Like, I'm pretty sure you could tie both hands behind their back, just give them their right foot, and they would find and block their eyes, and they'd be able to find their way around that track somehow.
Even a blindfold. No, I was going to say.
No, even take more away from them than that, and I think those guys will find a way to get around that track. So
yeah, and it's awesome to see those guys still coming down. Dave Stankowski, one of the AU Falcon E-famers currently, used to drive at Raleigh. I think he's trying to focus on DCA and getting his car finished again. So he wasn't there. There's a couple of local guys have even left the sport entirely or are looking at doing other things. So yeah, the pro field had a slightly different look to it in terms of guys that live locally are no longer there. And they were guys that were regular, can really mix up that top 5. They will always be in there somewhere. So that, I'm not going to say I was disappointed, but I kind of was in a way that I couldn't have told you who the podium was going to be, but I had a fair idea of who was going to end up towards the pointy end of the field. You've always got your go-to drivers, but the guys that have had consistent results there in the past, there's no reason that anything's going to change.
Well, and I guess the fact that there are a couple of them sitting in the judging tower too also...
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think the weekend ran really well. We had some American guests there, Pat Gooden and Caleb. I can't remember his last name. You can pronounce it for me.
Caleb Quadenbeck. Pat he's actually sitting FD out this year, but he's a FD America driver. He is, I'm pretty sure, purely privateer. Dude who seems to love NASCAR and has his S13 looking fairly NASCAR-esque. But I think he's got some plans, I think, to try and get back into it next year. And Caleb is a YouTuber, a former, still rides BMX, but he's a YouTuber, and I think he's already got a couple of videos up of his trip out here. And he is going to compete his first year of Pro-Am stuff in the US coming up. And I think he's just trying to sort his program out and get his funds together to do that. So, what were those? Right. I know you said that you were fairly busy, but what was your impressions of them, and what was their driving like, considering jumping into right-hand drive?
So I didn't get to see Caleb drive. So the whole point of their trip, I guess, was Wayne Bolt was in contact with them and managed to organise money through Street Society and a few other sponsors to get the guys out to hold a drift training day on Monday. So that happened yesterday. That was the whole reason they were coming out, and it was more focused around Caleb. And then he was saying, "Oh well, Pat Gooden wants to come or is coming." So then it sort of evolved to the stage where Wayne ended up lending his car to Pat Gooden to let him compete in the drift event itself, which was cool. I mean, I believe he may have driven a right-hand drive car once before, and he got to grips with it pretty quickly. I was pleasantly surprised when he did a couple of chase runs, how he controlled the car. It took him a little while to get a handle on the course, being that you are the pro line across the top of the hill. You're generally in third gear, flat out, throwing it down the hill, which can be daunting. And I wouldn't even know how to cope, I don't think, if I was in a left-hand drive car for the first time trying to do that. But yeah, they both seemed like really nice guys. I did hear the comment at the end of the day from Pat that he was watching on the Saturday when practice was happening, and he was thinking, oh yeah, like these guys are going pretty good. And another spectator next to him said, oh, wait until the pro guys come out, like then you'll see some really good driving. And he was like, oh, what? Like these are the amateur guys. So I think either their perception of the competition, they wouldn't have known what to think coming into it. But they were both surprised, and they loved the competition. They were raving about it when we had the podium at the end of Sunday. They were both raving about how awesome the competition and how high the skill level of the drivers were. The final actually went to a rerun in the pro division, which made for a spectacle. It was Grant Davies versus Barry Clark.
Who's Grant Davies?
Where's he
Grant
from?
He's a distant cousin of Blake Patterson's.
Oh, one of the judges, right?
Look, we've all written notes. We all spoke to Barry afterwards and explained how the result ended that way. And Barry agreed that he made a mistake coming into the first turn on his weight transfer, and the car didn't react. So Barry's just built a new car for this year with some changes to, I think he's got a fuel cell and stuff in the back seat, so the weight of the rear of the car would be quite a bit different to what he's used to. And this was the first event he had done in the car, so he was still coming to grips with it, but at the same time, he's driven there a million times. As you said earlier, you could probably blindfold him and he'll still get around the track and probably score pretty highly. But yeah, both Pat and Caleb seemed pretty stoked on the whole competition as a whole.
Did they both compete?
And No, just Pat.
Okay.
Yeah. So go, Greg.
So Pro Podium was first through to fourth?
Podium was, so it was Grant from Barry Clark, from Ron Lang, who drives a S14, also from Gold Coast, Queensland, and Senna Tunney, who is the Drift Pirates. He's got an R33 with Drift Pirates all down the side of it. Again, that's a new car for Senna also, and he stepped up from amateur last year, so he did really well to get through to where he did. He was doing some really strong chase runs. Yeah, really, really getting on the league car's door, and bullying isn't the right word, but really putting the pressure on the lead car. And yeah, he made his way through to the top four and got fourth place. So,
was that a surprise, being somebody who jumped up from amateur for him to do what he did, or
no? When he came last year, he went into amateurs, and I had seen him do a few laps, and I thought, oh, this guy's like a pretty good driver. He didn't win every round last year in amateur. It was going between himself and a guy from Newcastle, Daniel Cross. Yeah, but from his driving, if you're doing well in amateur, well enough to be winning reasonably consistently, the only change to the line from amateur to pro is a mungie across the top of the hill. So the amateurs have to do a mungie to equalise the speed for different powered cars, whereas the pro line, you're going wide, heading up the hill, and then you come back to just straight and then do a big flick entry down the hill. So the mungie, in a way, is harder because you're having to wash off speed and then accelerate down the hill more. But I think it's a good skill for the amateur guys to learn, to be able to control their car on a weight transfer and maintain speed to get to the next corner.
And then, so you said it went to the final went to a rerun in pro.
Yes.
Was it just a clean battle across the board, or was it a couple of mistakes here and there from guys?
They both made mistakes in their runs. I can't tell you off the top of my head lead or chase when they made the mistakes, but both of them made mistakes in the first battle, which gave us enough reason to send it to a rerun. It was very, when you're at that level and it is the final, it's very, you're splitting hairs. It's very difficult to
But I guess when you're talking mistakes, were they like, hey, that's a really significant, he spun out and he ran off the track?
No.
Or were you talking like little bobbles here and there, but they were on each other's door sort of thing?
Yeah, little bobbles. So his transition on the straight wasn't good. He didn't get into that clipping point as deeply as we would have liked, or the other guy was in a bit deeper, which enabled the chase car to be closer. Things like that. That's what we were splitting. And then it went to a rerun where really the only mistake was Barry was chasing Grant, and the very first turn, you take off from the line, get into second gear, do a big flick entry, and the track actually drops away to the left-hand side, and you put your rear wheel into that off-cambered concrete. When Grant did that, Barry, I think, tried to, but his car just didn't seem to react, which left him with the scenario where Barry, he wasn't driving straight, but he didn't have much angle. So he's basically, the front of his car was in Grant's driver's door. They're going around a right-hand turn. Instead of being parallel with him, he was sort of nosing in rather than following the line that Grant had taken. And that was unfortunately what lost it for him, yeah.
And then the rest of the battle, he got back on door and sort of all over him for the rest of the run?
Yeah, yeah. So, and when you say all over each other, like they were all over each other, like shit on a blanket.
Yeah, like, well, yeah, I was going to say like flies to shit, but nah.
Yeah, same thing.
Same, yes, exactly the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Very, very impressive battle there. I'm not sure what the power difference is between their cars, but I know Grant's is a pretty standard R33 Skyline with some lock mods from Caves Fab on the Gold Coast. I actually got to drive the car Sunday afternoon for 3 laps. Yeah, it was a lot different to what I'm used to in my car, being that I have nearly 3 times the power. So that took a couple of laps to readjust to what I need to do. And then, but it's very capable when you throw it on angle, it will hold that angle, and there's no hesitation, or there's no feeling that the rear end's going to come around. You could throw it to 90 degrees and be 100% comfortable there. Whereas, unfortunately, my car, if I throw it out there, generally the rear will want to overtake the front. So I'm still sorting that out for myself. But he's doing he's doing great things in a very standard car, which I think drifting needs more of in certain ways. I got stuck in I need more power, I need more this and that early on, but there was always
Welcome to the Sydney drift scene.
Yeah, there was always situations where the first turbo I upgraded to, I had that 230 kilowatts at the wheels, and then what happened there? I think I broke something, or I wanted to get the head ported, or I don't know why I had these thoughts, but at the same time, a bigger turbo popped up for a really cheap price where I could sell my setup and buy a new setup with only a couple of $100 difference for a lot more power. And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, let's do that then. Why not? And that sort of started the spiral downwards, I'm going to say. That's led me to the point of where I am now, which is all the components are in the shed waiting to be put back together.
To be blown up again.
No. I really, really hope not. It'll be very disheartening if I have another motor problem.
Yeah, trust me, I'm at that point too. If mine, after whatever happens, if anything happens this year, that thing's getting parked in the corner, and I'm gonna come and sit on your. I'm just gonna go and sit in the corner with you.
Stock motor, 100%. So after I blew my RB25, I went down the RB30 route and got talked into forging it, and then, we may as well put bigger cams in, blah, 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 blah. And I honestly wish I just put a standard RB25 Neo with a bolt-on turbo and all of your basic injectors, computer, off you go. Do an EG. Yeah. and don't wait for parts to be sent from Wetherall Park to Tarrant Point in Sydney, which is less than 35 kilometers. Yeah.
I
mean, the amateurs, I can't remember I know Dylan Shearer, I think he's a Newcastle guy. And this isn't there was lots of Newcastle entrants in.
Are they also part of Marvel as well?
No, they aren't. Marvel's very exclusive. You of all people should know that, did you? But yeah, the amateur guys, it was good. The three guys who were on the podium, I don't think had even competed in a competition at Raleigh before. So they picked it up very quickly. I know a couple of them are friends with Grant, so he's given them pointers at Matsuri's. So if you're getting pointers off a Grant or a Blake or an EG, sorry, Greg, you're not quite there.
No, I'm asking them for advice. So anybody who's coming to me, you're getting secondhand information.
So it was really good to see those guys up there, and they were having an awesome time. Actually, the guy that won stoved his B pillar in on the Saturday. It was on the Saturday. A car spun in front of him, and it's a R32 four-door, and the B pillar copped the brunt of the front of whatever the car was. I can't remember what he hit.
Caleb put that up on Instagram, I'm pretty sure. So if you have a look at Caleb's Instagram, I'm pretty sure there's a picture of that car.
That was when Pat Gooden ran into...
No, Will Hartley. No, there was also another one somebody's put on Instagram of that four-door, and it looked like a banana. Like, you could go sit it next to the big banana and you wouldn't look out of place.
Yeah.
You should just be able to pull those out, though.
They pulled it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they pulled it out, and on the Sunday it didn't look that bad, really.
They're really soft. I think it took two of us to bend one before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So put a roll cage in it. Is that what you suggest for the drift community?
Just don't get that death gap. That's all.
Yeah, the dive bomb gap.
Yeah. So
and just don't get hit in the driver's door either. Then.
No, you'll be all right. The whole thing is strong, but it's just still bend. If you know what I mean. It won't pierce through, but it'll bend. It's good. That's what you want.
Still be sitting this. you'll be sitting in the same place, but like your rear door will be sitting next to your driver's door, sort of thing.
I say you won't get pierced, but it looks like there's a huge hole in your door from Steve Pembry.
Yes, but the whole door's still there. The rest of it,
Yeah, okay.
there's like just
yeah.
a small hole
Fair
there. Oh,
Yes.
it's a decent hole.
So I'm gonna, from a judging point of view, I think round one went well. I like to put onus back on drivers. Drivers can sometimes complain about events not running smoothly, but it also comes down to what they're doing. If they're turning up on time to get out on track, like dead track time sucks. No one wants to see it, but if you call out to your driving group and say 5 minutes you need to be down and lined up, and then 5 minutes later there's no one there, what do you do? Like, if you want the event to run smoothly from a driver's perspective, be where you need to be on time. Which I told everyone.
Yeah, so I guess if let's get a little bit critical here. Neither me or EG was there to see the event, but anything that you felt like from an event point of view could have been done differently, you're going to do different for next time?
Live stream.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'll see if they got Wi-Fi there and see if we can sort anything. I mean, I'd love to have it live streamed, but I need someone like an EG there to set up the computer system.
I could, well, I could do a better stream if that was my only job. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, your streams are good. I like them.
You don't have
there's no simple.
There's no Raleigh designated Asian dude to do all that sort of stuff.
Not at this stage, no. But we might have to find a token Asian. I do have an Asian.
I might come up, but I won't drive. Huh? You got an Asian Marvel guy? I've never seen him before.
Yeah, Jason Poe.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. I haven't seen him drift in years.
Yeah, he's a has-been. Jason, if you listen to this,
he's not going to listen. No, he's not going to listen.
And we're like an hour and a bit in, so...
I might listen. Maybe. I don't think he will.
So for next round, we have adjusted the top 16 and top 8 battles. We were splitting everything. So top 16 amateurs did their battles and then went in, and then pros came out, did their top 16, and then amateurs came out and did their top 8, pros. So we're going to combine the top 16 and top 8 for both. So top 16 amateurs go out, battle their way through all of the losers, go in. Everyone that wins and goes through into top 8 stays out on track and goes straight into their top 8 battles. That's just the whole loading guys in and out of the pit area. And if there's guys not turning up or whatever the case is, you're just losing a whole bunch of time, especially at Raleigh. The start line isn't the closest to the pit area, and then you have to cycle everyone through 3/4 of the track, basically, to get them to the start line for the next heat. So we're changing that. We are going to... because we had so many entrants in the amateur class, the single car qualifying ran overtime, purely because there was so many cars to get through. Lots of guys at the start, it was good. Like, everyone was in the practice lane, and then a couple of guys jumped over into the qualifying lane. Then before we knew it, there was 10 deep in the qualifying lane and still 17 or something ridiculous in the practice lane. And then we got to the final, like timesheet wise, got to the final 10 minutes, and there was still more than 10 cars to get through, and some had multiple runs. So we've decided that we will, if we're over a given amount, over a given number, we'll split it into an A and a B group for qualifying and shorten the time up a little bit. But again, everyone's just getting a hang of going out there and doing their practice runs and doing their qualifying runs. I think everyone got the hang of it pretty well, but obviously if you're having car troubles and then you come out in the last 5 minutes and want to do 2 qualifying runs and there's still 5 other cars that need to do theirs as well, that's where you can run into a time management issue.
You haven't thought about any other qualifying systems at all?
Not at this stage. I guess this is what we've gone to from the battle qualifying. So for this year, we will retain that.
Okay.
We don't want to change things sort of halfway through. So we've designated this is what we're going with. This is what we'll stick with for the 4-round series.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to throw out a crazy idea, but then I'm not sure if it would necessarily work. But if you split it into 2 groups and you ran Group 1 as practice, I guess, to start with, without Group 2 out there, and then as Group 1 practiced, you send Group 2 qualifying between those runs, and they do their 2 forced runs, I guess, would potentially be a way of getting around it.
They kind of want them to warm up, so.
Yeah, no, and that's what I get, but it is when you're talking critical time, when you've got potential of 41 cars, it starts to get, it does get hard. But
the thing that I want to do is a 4-lap system. So you go out in a group that's the perfect size for each whatever course you're doing. So say there's a long break between the drift section and from the start to finish, the finish to start, then you'd have maybe 10 cars out. But what should happen is you get 4 laps. The first is a practice, then the other 3 are qualifying, and then the group size determines how long you'd take to get around the track. So by the time you get back, there should be 1 car waiting for them to do qualifying, and then so you'd wait 30 seconds and then you shoot off, and then they would go, then you would go. So you'd always be like, there would be a flow, but it's only limited to 4 laps though. So if you want, you could do like 3 practice and a qualifier, or you can do 1 practice and 3 qualifiers. It's up to you. But it's all set, and that way you can time it better.
So
I like that idea, but I don't think anyone else does. The other thing that another person from Newcastle as well, Ben Mia, he keeps asking, was a royalette style, like that G1 in Japan, where you would go out for 10 minutes in a group, and that would be your qualifying session. So it looks like a practice session, but the judges are watching all the cars and picking at random your run. So if you go out there and you do 1 sick lap and you go back in, you're allowed to do that. You just have to hope that the judges have watched. Or you can just keep doing lap after lap after lap. And as long as they're consistent, then the judges probably have seen one of those.
I feel like that's really hard on the judges.
It is.
In a way,
I've done.
And you're just gonna get abused.
Yeah.
Well, it's.
You didn't see my 1 run. Like, I did the best run ever.
It was the sickest. Backwards everywhere.
But they're aware. They're aware that's what the system is. So, and they're told of the risk. Like, if you just do 1 run, then you could also not be seen. So, they want consistency.
I guess that. I was going to say that promotes consistency a lot. Making sure that every lap you do is spot on.
Yeah.
And I guess rally wouldn't be that hard to do something like that, considering you're only allowed to have, I think, 4 cars sort of spaced out evenly, sort of drifting at the same time. I think it seems like it's fairly restricted to.
Yeah. So I think there's a rule somewhere which I can't say I've seen, but they can only have 2 cars drifting sort of at a time, unless they've got a decent gap between them. We are trying to push them through as quickly as we can. That was one thing at round 1 that I'd say can definitely still be improved on. Just getting that flow happening of, again, putting some of the responsibilities back onto the drivers, that you need to pay attention when you're out there. We're going to try and push you through. The 2 cars that went in front of you, there could be someone spun. So pay attention when you're driving around the track. And it's not that hard. You should be paying attention when you're driving on the road every day. And it's just being alert to, oh, there's a big cloud of smoke 2 turns away. I wonder if someone spun out there, and instead of going over at 100 kilometres an hour, maybe back it off a little bit until you know that the track is clear. So yeah, that's something that we're going to work on every round, trying to speed that process up of getting the guys clear, sending the next 2 cars, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and I guess maybe if people are starting to get too complacent with the using the whole time that you guys have given them and waiting too long to jump in line, if they've sort of got their stuff dialed but they're not trusting themselves, is maybe a big clock or some sort of warning being like, look, if you haven't done it, you are going to lose that second qualifying run. I know it doesn't happen at DCA because there's plenty of time to sort of run overtime and do all that sort of thing, but yeah, I think Drift Australia days when they ran that sort of session, it was if you weren't in by the cutoff, you sort of missed out. And of course, you don't want to have to do that. But if the field starts to fill up and it gets to that point, it might be something that has to start happening.
Because we've got a staff member out on the start line, which happened to be Brady for round 1. So we radioed to him when there was 15 minutes to go and said, righto, you need to be asking the guys if they've done 1 or 2 qualifiers, like whether they've done 1 or none. And if they haven't, you need to be sending them all on qualifying runs because we're running short on time. Yeah. I didn't hear anything negative about that in terms of anyone complaining that, I still wasn't prepared. It would have been, well, sorry, mate, but you were out there for 50 minutes. If you're not prepared now, then you're probably not going to be prepared at all.
Yeah, and considering in that last 10 minutes, they might get 1 more lap in before they even jump in the quality line. Yeah. So it's probably time to do it.
It did end up, I think that was definitely in the amateurs where there was probably like 10 cars out there with 10 minutes to go, and nearly all of them had to still do 2 qualifying runs. So it was just qualifier after qualifier, which isn't bad from my perspective. At least watching every car go through and critiquing every car rather than sort of mentally blocking out like their crappy practice runs in between.
Yeah, I guess something maybe to push the drivers with is try and encourage them to do one in the first half hour, even if they're not feeling necessarily up to speed yet, because if somebody does blow a motor over the top of the hill and and there's oil everywhere, there's a good chance that their whole session will be gone, and that really does put the whole, I guess, event in jeopardy, because if only 15 cars have done qualifying runs, then it takes, that's happened 30 minutes into quali, it takes 45 minutes to clean up the track. You're now 15 minutes past quali, and you've still got to run quali again because you're going to run a top 15 because 20-something cars haven't run a qualifying run yet. It starts to get really messy in that sort of situation. Yeah. So it might be something to put some pressure on some drivers to start pushing through.
Yeah, I did tell them to not do massive foot-ons on their way in from any practice sessions, qualifying sessions, because I know if I was a driver, and actually I remember this happened at Wakefield where Nick Coulson went out towards the end of the day and blew his motor and oiled the whole track down.
That was the whole track, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it?
Yeah.
From start to finish almost.
Yeah, all short track,
Yeah.
Everyone was pissed off because everyone wanted to go driving. I mean, that wasn't his fault, but I just explained to everyone at Raleigh, same scenario. If you are doing a foot on them, you blow your engine up, coming back into the pits, everyone else is going to be pissed off because they've lost out on track time because of you doing something that you shouldn't be doing at a drift event.
Everybody loves doing, as soon as because you get held back in that last section, everybody loves doing big burnouts for some reason up there to overrun those first 2 corners before going off the track.
I mean, by all means, drift in, but don't sit on it and do cut helis and get your Monaro face on.
So yeah, is that pretty much all the only sort of things
Still
you'd
got
be?
me? Everyone's lagging out.
Yeah, we still
Yeah,
got
yeah.
you. You've lagged a few times, but
Yeah,
you're still here. But so that's pretty much where you're at with the series. Not much else you guys want to change or want to see changed for this year. That's sort of where you're at. No, are you going to try and run any sort of different layouts, or it's pretty much that's the standard track for the 4 rounds, and that's what you're stuck with for the rest of it? I don't know if you still got us. Are you still there?
Maybe. Can you hear us? No sound at all.
I'll message him and see if he can. Can you talk?
Okay, I think I've got you now.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Just asked a
that
massive long question.
yeah, that's okay.
I caught every second word, so I'm going to say you asked if we were doing different layouts.
Yep.
Was that the gist of it?
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. At this stage, no, but we did speak last year about potentially trying something different, and the topic did come up again between Blake and myself at round 1. So we will look at trying to do something. It's just we don't know how well it's going to work. I think it's something that we probably need to go out and try ourselves. I know Blake's tried it previously and said it was pretty difficult. So if you're getting to the stage where, and let's not give Blake the biggest head in the world because he's not the best driver in the world, but if he is struggling to do a section of the course or to link a section, then you're probably going to see quite a few guys struggle there. So at this stage, yeah, unfortunately with Raleigh and the layout that it has, you're pretty stuck with what we've got. We can move clipping points around, but I think if you start doing that, it's going to disrupt the flow of the track too much, and then guys that don't have any power will 100% struggle.
Yeah, and I guess the variety doesn't necessarily mean a better show or better driving.
No, that's right. Yeah. And I think you get a pretty good show currently with obviously the guys that have been driving there for quite a while can really sit on each other's doors for the entire 7 turns. It's not like they're coming and going. They're maintaining that proximity the whole lap. And one thing about Barry Clark's driving that always impresses me is the timing on his transitions are identical to the lead car when he's chasing. He's not transitioning before the lead car, but it's exactly the same time. And that emulation is awesome to see lap after lap. It's not one lap in the competition he'll be able to do that. It's every battle he'll be able to do that regardless of who he's battling.
So that's what you guys reward is the timing where they're exactly the same.
It does get rewarded, but you take, I guess you try and compare lead runs with lead runs and chase with chase. And if they're equal, then you start coming down to those smaller niche items where you're really splitting hairs to, he didn't quite get into that clip as deep, which allowed him to push away slightly, or he did a better transitions or whatever it may be. There's always a lot of talking going on in the judges' box. We did actually have the situation where Pat Gooden was leading from Barry Clark, and a weird scenario. They'd come down the pit straight, and then Pat kind of looked like he slowed, but not really. But all of a sudden, Barry spun off track, which is very rare. And then Pat was slow after that, and we were confused to whether there was an issue with Pat's car or whether Barry just came in too hot and then freaked out and jumped on the anchors. So we actually radioed out to Brady on the start line to get the driver's perspective of it when they got back there. And Pat put his hand up. I think he may have broke a shifter or something broke in the car. So he all of a sudden had a massive drop in speed right at a point where you're really pushing in on the lead car. And Barry just grabbed a fistful of foot brake and spun off.
You don't want to crash a new car.
So was that
was
that rerun, or was that just a Pat? Was that a disadvantage because of that run?
That was their second run, and yeah, that was a disadvantage. Well, Pat didn't complete the run either. He just drove the rest of the track.
Oh, okay.
And so when we radioed out there, Pat straight away said, "Yep, 100% my fault. The car broke. Barry's got the win," which was awesome to see. And like you'd like to think that every driver is going to what's the word?
Take ownership, I guess, of...
Yeah, take ownership. Not be a douche.
A woman's hygiene product. Okay.
Yeah. Sure. So I think we're probably flogged round one rally to death.
Yeah, I guess do a bit of a sales pitch for all those playing at home to try and get them to come up for round two and the rest of the season.
When is round two?
Yep. So round two, off the top of my head, is May 18 and 19. Check your local guides because I'm probably wrong. No, I have a feeling that it's definitely May and it's around that 18, 19th. If that's a Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to say I've got it.
Do a quick research for you.
So officially it is the Speed Flow Drift Series. Speed Flow have gotten behind the Drift Series last year and are continuing their sponsorship this year. K-Mac Aero, Origin Lab are also sponsors, and there's gift vouchers for the winners of amateur and pro for respective body kit shops. From what I saw on Facebook today, all the drivers that came up from Sydney are returning for round two. All seem very keen to get out there and give it another go. Obviously seat time and track time at that place is the best thing for you.
Yeah. So dates are May 19 and 20th. So you're pretty much on the money for it. I guess I'll do a bit of a sales pitch for you. One of the great things with Raleigh is the fact that entry is like $180.
$180 this year, yeah. So, and that's 2 days of driving.
2 days of driving, and I think you can camp at the track for free.
Yeah, you'd have to double check that.
But if it's not free, it's not expensive to stay there.
Yeah.
But you're allowed to camp there.
Yeah.
So you can really do it on a pretty tight budget. Yes, there's a fair bit of travel involved, but you can do it on a really tight budget. And I guess I did a half the event in the wet, and then didn't do a huge amount of driving in the dry. But what would an average weekend of tires? I guess in a monster car like yours, what would you go through in a typical comp weekend?
I used to always conserve tyres because I'm a tight ass, so I'd go out and I'd do minimal practice laps and then do my qualifying and battles. But I would say, in my car, 3 pairs of tyres.
Yeah.
Depending how you spread them out over your weekend, say 4 to be safe.
Yeah.
A low-power car would only need like 1 or 2 pairs.
Oh, yeah. I'd have to check with Grant, but I'm pretty sure he only changed his tyres to go into battles because he'd been running on the others every practice session and qualifying. And so, I remember Grant in amateurs used the same pair of tyres on the rear of his car. That was when it was non-turbo for 2 or 3 events.
Yes.
Wow.
So you're talking about doing an event, I guess if you're traveling from Sydney or Brisbane, you're probably looking at the weekend. You could probably get away around $500 or $600. If that, you could probably go even cheaper if, including your petrol in your tow car as well as your petrol for the race car and all that sort of stuff. So if you are within a decent distance that you can do the travel on the Friday night and then get home on Sunday night, look, it really is somewhere that's worth going if you need to get your competition fix.
And we did find, because we were slightly down on numbers in pro, I think we finished by 3 o'clock, or it could have even been slightly earlier on Sunday. So literally the guys that were from Sydney or Queensland, they were out of there and would have been home by, well, I don't know,
10 o'clock probably.
7 or 8 o'clock. Yeah, I mean, I left at, what time did I leave? Don't know. I got home at 7:30. I think I left at about 4, maybe, just before 4 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so and that was awesome. I'm used to getting home a lot later. So we definitely will be, I mean, we're not trying to finish early, but if we can, and if there's not many entrants, we will push it through as quickly as we can. Then that gives everyone the time at the end of the day, if they want to go out and flog all the second-hand tyres that they grabbed off the local tyre shop stack, they can. But surprisingly, I didn't see many people doing that at round 1. I don't know if they'd had enough driving or everyone's cars had broken. And another option I'll just say is I personally always stay at Vela Beach Caravan Park, which is where all the halfway hangs event show and shine happens on the Saturday. I think they do that, and then they drive on the Sunday.
Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Or Friday, Saturday. Okay. So there's cheap cabins there, and they can sleep 6 people. And it brings it. If you put 6 of your mates in a cabin, it's like $20 a night for accommodation, for a warm shower, a half decent bed. There's a pub down the road with $7 schnitties, and I mean, personally, I've been doing that every year since I started going there, and I think that's a great option if you don't want to camp, if you like to be clean after a day at the track, changing tyres, and there's showers at the track, but camping's camping. You get people like Greg opening your tent in the middle of the night. Greg's raising his eyebrows for all those people listening and not watching.
So I guess that sort of wraps up Raleigh, and I guess hopefully
for round 1,
for round 1, and hopefully you guys see a few more guys making the trek.
Yeah, for sure.
Potentially from Sydney, hopefully, considering. Or the greater Sydney area, considering, we're not running Super Drift or anything this year. So
Did you get many Sydney entrants?
He said it like a bunch of times.
Huh?
He said it like 10 times.
I don't know. Yeah. Watch it back, AG. Watch it back.
He said it around 5.
I'd say 5 or 6, roughly. Okay. New guys that haven't driven there before.
And then there's a lot of guys who come from Newcastle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's closer, I think. The Sydney guys don't like to travel.
Yeah, I did hear a couple of them say like it is a bit of a trek, and I can understand
I say the same thing as well. So
yeah, that's right. And I mean it is, but it's not that bad. All of the freeways are opening up, and
it's so much better from Sydney to Coffs Harbour than from Canberra to Sydney. Like that sort of leg is the worst. If I could go from Sydney to Coffs Harbour, I would feel so much better because it's so.
If you could get to the
nice
north
drive.
side of Sydney, it would be okay.
No, I don't even care because it's so boring between here and Sydney. You have no idea. How many times did you come to Canberra?
Oh, maybe twice, and that was probably on a bus, and I was asleep.
Yeah, I wish I could just sleep between here and Sydney because it's so boring.
Yeah, right.
So I guess, if you can, try and get up to Raleigh and either watch or drive if you can. The event seems like it's finding its mojo, getting its feet back underneath it. with a little bit more structure this year. The only problem is the rig judging, where family members and locals from the same area as the majority of the judges win.
If you have any questions on the calls, we take notes for all the battles from top 32 right through, and we will explain why you won or lost.
And you
Only
conveniently don't
people
have those
listening
notes at the moment.
They're in my car that is downstairs. I'm not going to run you through, car 32 beat car 17 because of proximity, whatever.
And because people have taken my sarcastic remarks seriously in the past, I am joking. EG is joking. Grant is the person who doored the crap out of me at DCA at Mount Gambier, so it did not surprise me when I saw his photo come up with him on top of the podium. So hats off to him.
And it was close. It was obviously, like, I went to a rerun, and that was the decider. And even he did top qualify, and I didn't think he top qualified. I obviously didn't tally up the scores right. But when the official tally came out on Sunday, he said, I top qualified. I said, no, you didn't. I did actually. Barry got second. I was like, are you sure? Because I'm sure Barry out-qualified you. But from my point of view, I scored them the same on their qualifying runs. So it was the other judges.
Yes. So just be careful there. Now you're putting the family member back involved. So I guess moving on from Raleigh, just before we wrap up, we didn't say it at the start, but we had said we were going to say it. Entries for round 2 Drift Challenge Australia Tasmania have opened up. Jump on and book the boat if you're a mainlander planning on going down to Tasmania. There is not a whole bunch of room left on some of the boats. It seems that it's starting to get fairly booked out. I'm planning on trailering over, and I'm going over on Wednesday because I can't get the trailer on Thursday, and I don't want to risk the Friday night boat trying to get to the track. But it seems like there are a lot of drivers coming. Mitch Doyle from Northern Territory is bringing his Northern Territory car down rather than his
his South Australian car.
South Australia car. So he's doing probably one of the longest treks you can possibly do in Australia to almost the most northern point, the most northern capital city, all the way down to one of the most southern places in the country. So that should be cool. And I think at the moment I would say there's probably at least 8 to 10 guys from the mainland.
That's a lot.
Already booked in, and I have a feeling there are a few more still tossing up whether or not to get down there. So,
and the Tasmanian presence is really big as well. Like the Tasmanians, they love DCA.
Yeah. So don't. Luke and Tiana have said if you're a mainlander and don't have the funds to pay your entry yet, but you can pay for the boat, book the boat. Let them know that you've booked the boat, and they will save you a spot because they figure if you've got the boat that you're going to be good for the money at some stage. So get onto that. If Dylan had a car running, I'm sure he'd be making the trek down to Tasmania.
I would love to, but I don't have any money at the moment because I'm in the process of spending more than I own.
So get onto that. I think that I'm not sure if there's anything else you guys want to cover.
High Tech opened up the expressions of interest as well for their.
What's expressions of interest?
I'm not sure. I
sent
them an
running?
email.
There's no interest, or is it?
I'm not sure. I think there was a post and it said to email for interest, and I did, and then I said I should supply. They sent an email reply, and they didn't really answer my question. And now they sent me an email again to say to apply for my expression of interest, and I was just sort of curious. I wasn't really intending on entering. There's some other guys that I know down here in Canberra that are thinking about it, so I was just sort of curious and well, anyway, they just sort of put that up on their website, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got an email today, I think, or yesterday because I'm a previous driver. You may have got one, Dylan, but I don't know if you've driven recent enough in the
not
series.
recently.
Just questioning if I was interested and to send through a expression of interest, but at this stage for this year, that's way outside my budget, and I need a car running to be able to go to drift events.
Yes. Number one.
There's a NA
Thank you,
Sylvia down
Haltech.
here that you can borrow, but you just need to put some suspension and actually do up all the nuts
Yeah,
and
and
bolts in there.
Yeah, and you're a 6-hour round trip from my house.
That's all right. It's not that far. I'd do it after work.
Just no thanks. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to cover. Dylan, somebody that he helped us judge Super Drift one round last year when EG and Mitch were out of action, and
I think EG was in Japan and Mitch was,
I think just was on shift or
having a
something
baby?
like that.
No, because
Mate.
no, Mitch was in Japan as well. We're both in Japan at the same time.
I thought that's when he was making babies.
No, he was already.
Would have been
I'm pretty
close.
Sure. No, I think it was. Well,
Well, we don't need
before
to
they left.
we don't need to speculate when these things happen. You've made me lose my point. It's gone.
Talking about Dylan.
Yeah, so we're still in a bit of a judges chat for the guys who were doing that side of the officiating, I guess you'd say, for Super Drift. So I'm sure Dylan will be somebody we will have many more run-ins potentially on this show or at events and catch-ups with, and potentially try and get. The plan was to have him and Blake on this episode, but Blake seems too cool for school at the moment. Busy with work, ditching QR Matsuri to go over and spot for Matty Hill at D1NZ and do all this fancy stuff now that he's the cash king. So we talk about him a lot, and we're planning on having Blake on at some stage, but I think we got the better option for this one because he didn't try and push his political agendas on us throughout the episode.
I'm pretty sure Blake's episode is going to be very long.
Yeah. And you make a good point that this weekend is D1NZ round 3.
Yep.
Maybe, and Queensland Maturi. So there should be plenty of footage for all the drift fans to be watching.
Yeah, there's also...
we're going to try and do a live stream at QR.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah,
there's also 10... I think... Is it this week? I think it's this weekend, the 10-10 Matsuri...
Oh, yeah.
In Malala.
Yeah, I forgot about that. There's people getting prepared for it and looking for parts as well. I've seen on Facebook.
Yeah, did you say 10-10?
Yeah, it's 10 a.m. to
10?
10 p.m. Yeah, something like that.
Good guess.
Yeah, for a festival, one-day festival.
Yeah.
But I saw Stewie was riling up some interest to see if anybody wanted to do an unofficial big entry
I saw
competition.
that. That'll be interesting.
Oh, yeah, I saw that today as well. Yeah.
So that should be an interesting one to see what footage comes from that, especially if he's driving. So should be pretty.
Is it fair
pretty
if
crazy.
He drives in a comp that is most likely to win?
Yeah, but I guess all he's trying to do is encourage people to go completely spastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
which is what those events need.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll see what comes of all that stuff. So yeah, I think we're pretty close to the 2-hour mark, if my calculations are correct.
Close, I think.
Yeah.
We're about an hour 45 minutes, I think. I'd guess.
Oh, okay. No, I think we might be longer, but after our technical difficulties. But yeah, all right. So I don't know how we're going to do this today, EG, because
well, yeah, I know. Are you going to get Dylan on it or not? I can just do this. Oh, Jesus.
But Dylan's like,
sorry,
this,
I'm in lag zone at the moment.
Ah, okay. So
I can go all the way to the side of the screen.
Yeah.
Dylan's there somewhere, but he doesn't want to high five me.
Not like this.
He doesn't know how to.
He's trying.
How does he? He can't touch. Can he touch both of our hands?
I can't hear.
He can.
Are we all touching hands? Do we look
almost
special? Well, I don't know what. Dylan, you only need it on one side, mate.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
The other side. The other side.
Are we all touch?
Dylan, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Back a little bit. Back. I don't know how we clap, but
I don't know.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Let's. Yeah. Oh yeah. All
I'm
right.
lagging
Okay.
out. This is impossible.
Oh, that was fun.
Well, thank you, Dylan, from the
Thank
Marble
you.
headquarters of the World Rally Championship winning team over there.
Yeah,
And
surprised. Where's the rest of the family?
they're in bed like sensible people.
Oh yeah. Oh no, he's completely lagged out.
He's like that.
I've
All
got
right.
you now. I've got you now.
All right. We will catch you guys on the next one. We'll have a bit of a wrap up, hopefully from both of us being at QR Matsuri. If not, definitely EG being up at QR Matsuri.
You better be
And,
there. There's
yeah.
a car waiting here, kind of. In
Yeah,
one
but if I can
piece.
stay and earn money instead, I'll stay and earn money because
Ah,
I've
it's so soft.
pissed away my bloody entry fee anyway. All right. So yes, we'll catch you guys later. Thank you, Dylan. This
All right,
is
thanks, guys.
Other side.
Cheers.
kind of this has worked for a third person on this, so this is cool to know. So we'll definitely start getting more guests on, and yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you.
Catch ya. Yeah.
Bye.
Shut up.
Oh, he left. Oh, we can talk
just
shit about him,
hung
like on Maximum Driftcast. Can we? Yeah, we can talk shit about him.
Oh yeah, after everybody goes, yeah, what
Yeah.
a wanker. He
I know,
drives
right?
a pink car. I know it's 2018, but shit.
He thought he was so
And he's got a
good
dog
too.
box.
And he needs so much power. See how much power he had?
Yeah, like 700,000 kilowatts.
What? What's with that? He must be a shit
He
driver.
could he could send that thing to the bloody space station with that much power. He's got a dog box too.
Does he? No way.
Yeah,
What does he need a
Yeah.
dog box for?
yeah, boom, 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 boom. Yeah. We're not really putting this part in, right?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, are we? Okay, so we
Yeah.
haven't actually left.
No.
But yeah, we should probably officially finish it here.
Okay.
But yeah, we need to come up with more things that we can pretend to, talk crap about people after they leave.
You better be
but-
QR. Because we need to do some content from up there.
I want to. I guess we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow.
Because you've got up
which will
until
be-
Friday to actually leave, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, anyway,
Uh,
we'll just leave it at this, and I'll stop recording now.
Now, thank you guys. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
listening.
All right.